In the previous lecture, I discussed about the meaning and concepts related to forest and how it is significant in terms of ecological, economic and cultural components. In this lecture, I am going to discuss about the classifications of forest, two major classifications of forest, and after that the reclassification, that is the 6 broader categories of forest such as temperate needleaf forest, temperate broadleafed and mixed, tropical moist, tropical dry, sparse trees and parkland, forest plantation, as per the categorization or classification of Worldwide Fund for Nature. So, as per different types and classifications, forests have been classified in different ways. They have been classified according to biome in which they exist, combined with leaf longevity and the dominant species, such as whether they are evergreen or deciduous in nature. Another classification is classified whether the forests are composed predominantly of broadleaf trees, coniferous trees or mix. Evergreen needle-leaf forest, under which natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover, in which the canopy is predominantly needleaf and evergreen, comes under this category. The second one is known as deciduous needle-leaf forest. Natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover, in which the canopy is predominantly needle-leaf and deciduous, is in this category. The first one is mixed one, under which broadleaf needle-leaf forest. In this natural forest, greater than 30% canopy cover, in which the canopy is composed of a more or less even mixture of needle leaf and broadleaf crowns between 50:50 ratio and 25 to 75% also. These comes under this category. The second one is known as broadleaf evergreen forest. Under this natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover, the canopy being greater than 75% evergreen and broadleaf. The next category is known as deciduous broadleaf forest, in which natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover, in which 75% of the canopy is deciduous and broadleaf predominant. Under which the freshwater swamp forest are also known. The natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover, composed of trees with any mixture of leaf type and seasonally, but in which predominant environmental characteristic is a waterlogged soil. Our next classification is also known as 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗧 dry forest. Natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover, in which canopy is mainly composed of 𝗧𝗦𝗔𝗀 broadleaves and is greater than 75% evergreen forest, comes under this category. Apart from that, disturbed natural forest. Any forest type above that has in its interior significant areas of disturbance by people, including clearing, felling for wood extraction, anthropogenic filters, road construction, etc. These are known as disturbed forest areas. The next type of categories are known as sparse trees and parkland. Natural forest in which the trees canopy cover is between 10 to 30%, such as in the steppe regions of the world. Trees are of any types, for example, needle leaf, broadleaf or even palms also. The next category is known as exotic species plantation. This is characterized by intensively managed forest with greater than 30% canopy cover, which have been planted by people with a species not naturally occurring in that country. So, in the tropical forest types, the first one is known as lowland evergreen broadleaf rain forest. This is characterized by natural forests with greater than 30% canopy cover, below 1200 meter altitude that display little or no seasonality, the canopy being greater than 75% evergreen broadleaf. The next classification of forest is known as lower montane forest. Natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover between 1200 meter to 1800 altitude with any seasonality regime and the leaf type mixture is known under this category. Another classification is also known as upper montane forest. Natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover above 1800 meter altitude with any seasonality regime and leaf type mixture is characterized under this. You might have heard of freshwater swamp forest. The natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover below 1200 meter altitude composed of trees with any mixture of leaf type and seasonality, but important thing which you should remember is in which the predominant environmental characteristic is waterlogged soil. Another important classification is semi-evergreen moist broadleaf forest. Now you will be thinking, what are the characteristics? Natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover below 1200 meter altitude in which between 50 to 75% of the canopy is evergreen. Another characteristic is greater than 75% are broadleaves and trees display seasonality of flowering and fruiting. Mixed broadleaf needleleaf forest. Natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover below 1200 meter altitude in which the canopy is composed of a more or less even mixture of needleleaf and broadleaf crowns comes under this category. The ratio remains between 50 to 50% or 25 to 75%. Another type of forest are known as needleleaf forest. Naturally, forest with greater than 30% canopy cover below 1200 meter altitude in which the canopy is predominantly greater than 75% needleaves are known as needleleaf forest areas. Disturbed natural forest. Any forest type ever that has in its interior significant areas as on disturbance by people including clearing, felling for wood extraction, anthropogenic fires, road construction, etc. are also categorized as one type of classification, as I mentioned in the previous classification too. So next type of forest are known as deciduous or semi-deciduous broadleaf forest. What are the characteristics? Again, the natural forest with greater than 30% canopy cover below 1200 meter altitude in which 50 to 100% of the canopy is deciduous and broadleaves predominated by canopy cover greater than 75%. These 26 major types can be reclassified into 6 broader categories. The first one is temperate needleleaf. Temperate needleleaf forests cover a large areas of the world than any other forest type. They mostly occupy the higher latitude regions of the northern hemisphere as well as high altitude zones and some warm temperate areas, especially on nutrient poor or otherwise unfavorable soil. These forests are composed entirely or nearly so of coniferous species. In northern hemisphere, pines, pica, larix, silver firs, Douglas firs, these are also examples which make up the canopy, but other taxa are also important. Temperate broadleaf and mixed. Temperate broadleaf and mixed forest, which include a substantial component of trees in Anthophyta, cover over 6.5 million km of the Earth's surface, are classified under this. They are generally characteristic of warmer temperature latitude but extended to cool temperate ones, particularly in southern hemisphere. They include such forest type as the mixed deciduous forest of the USA and other counterparts in China and Japan. The broadleaf evergreen forest of Japan and Tasmania, the sclerophyllous forest of Australia, the Mediterranean and California, and southern beech 𝗧𝗏𝗪𝗏 forest of Chile and New Zealand are examples of such kind of forest. Another classification is tropical moist. Tropical moist forests cover more than 11 million kilometers of the humid tropics and include many different forest types. The best known and most extensive area of the lowland evergreen broadleaf rainforest, which make the best known and the most extensive, are the lowland evergreen broadleaf rainforest, which make up over half this area and include, for example, the seasonally inundated and ego forest and the terra firma forest of the Amazon basin, the peat forest and moist dipterocarp forest of Southeast Asia, and high forest of Congo basin. The forest of tropical mountains are also included in this broad category, generally divided into upper and lower montane formations on the basis of their physiography, which varies with altitude. Another classification is tropical dry. Tropical dry forests are characterized of areas in the tropics affected by seasonal drought. Such seasonal climate characterizes much of the tropics, but less than 4 million kilometers of tropical dry forest remains. The seasonality of rain is usually reflected in the deciduousness of the forest canopy, with most trees being leafless for several months of the year. However, under some conditions, for instance, less fertile soil or predictable drought regimes, the proportion of evergreen species increases and the forests are characterized as sclerophyllous thorn forest. A dense forest of low stature with high frequency of thorny or spiny species is found where drought is prolonged, and especially where grazing animals are plentiful. Sparse trees and parkland. Sparse trees and parkland are forests with open canopies of 10 to 30% crown cover. They occur principally in areas as of transition from forest land. The two major zones in which these ecosystems occurs are in the boreal region and in the seasonally dry tropics. At high latitude north of the main zones of the boreal forest or taiga growing conditions are not adequate to maintain in according to the tree cover and is both sparse and deciduous in nature. Now let me discuss little bit about forest plantation. Forest plantations, generally intended for the production of timber and pulpwood, increases the total area of forest worldwide. In 1999, as per the FAO estimation, the total plantation area in developed countries is about 6 lakhs kilometer square and in developing countries it is about 5 lakh 50,000 kilometer square. Commonly, monospecific and or composed of introduced trees species, these ecosystems are not generally important as their biodiversity protection functions, and they are important providers of ecosystem service such as maintaining nutrient capital, protecting watersheds and soil structure, as well as storing carbon. They may also play an important role in wood production. As per Worldwide Fund for Nature classification, the type of forest depends mainly on location, that is distance from the equator and altitude, and climate too. As per their classification, the tropical forest, these types of forests are characterized by their location near the equator. They have year-round high temperature and abundant rainfall, which makes them a dense and lush with vegetation. They are vital storehouse of biodiversity on the planet. The subtropical forests are found to south and north of the tropical forest. The trees here are adapted to resist during the summer drought. The Mediterranean forests are found to the south of the temperate regions around the coast of the Mediterranean, California, Chile and Western Australia. The growing season is short and almost all trees are evergreen but mixed hardwood and softwood. Now, what about temperate forests? These forests are found in eastern North America, northeastern Asia and western and eastern Europe. Temperate forests are mix of deciduous and coniferous evergreen trees. After that comes this coniferous forest. Coniferous forests are found in the cold, windy regions around the people. They are both hardwoods and coniferous found in the regions. The conifers are evergreen and structurally adapted to withstand the long drought-like conditions of long winters, where the hardwoods are deciduous in nature. What about the montane forest? These forests receive most of their precipitation from mist or fog that comes up from the lowlands and such as also known as clouds forest. Some of these montane woodlands and grasslands are found in high elevation, tropical, subtropical and temperate zones. Now let me explain a little bit more about these classifications. The first is tropical and subtropical moist broadleaf forest. These type of forests are generally found in large discontinuous patches centered on the equatorial board and between the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. These forests are found around the world, particularly in Indo-Malayan region, the Amazon basin and the African Congo. In general, biodiversity is the highest in forest canopy, which can be divided into 5 layers. Overstory canopy with emergent crowns, a medium layer of canopy, lower canopy, shrub level and finally understory. These forests are characterized by low variability in annual temperature and high levels of rainfall greater than 200 centimeters annually. Forest composition is dominated by semi-evergreen and evergreen deciduous tree species. These trees number in thousands and contribute to a highest level of species diversity in any terrestrial major habitat type. Let me explain you some of the ecoregions of the tropical and subtropical moist broadleaf forest. The first one is Seychelles and Mascarenes moist forest in island to the north and east of Madagascar of east coast of Africa. Second one is East African coast forest in Kenya, Somalia, Tanzania. The third is Albertine Rift montane forest in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda. The fourth categorization is Sulawesi moist forest in Sulawesi, a large island to southeast of Borneo in Indonesia. The fifth one is New Guinea montane forest in the island of New Guinea north of Australia. The sixth one is of course the Queensland tropical forest in northeastern Australia. And the seventh is the Lord Howe Norfolk Island forest in the island of the east coast of Australia in Tasman Sea. The eighth one is known as the Southwestern Ghats moist forest in western coast of India. The ninth is the Northern Indochina subtropical moist forest in southern China, northern Laos, Myanmar, Thailand and Vietnam. Now let me explain you the distribution of tropical and subtropical broadleaf forest. These are found in southern Mexico, southeastern Africa, the Lesser Sundas, central India, Indochina, Madagascar, eastern Bolivia and central Brazil, the Caribbean valleys of northern Andes and along of the coasts of Ecuador and Peru. These forests are warm year round and many received several hundred centimeter rain per year, but they also experienced long dry seasons which last several months and vary with locations. Deciduous trees predominated these forests and during the drought as a leafless period occurs which varies with the species type. The newly bare trees open up the canopy layer, enabling sunlight to reach ground level and facilitates the growth of thick underbrush. So, where are these? Another classification is the tropical dry forest. Where are they found? The tropical dry forests are home to a wide variety of wildlife, including monkeys, large cat, parrot, various rodents and ground-dwelling birds. Many of these species are adapted to the prevalent environment. Now, let me also tell some of the ecoregions of the tropical and subtropical broadleaf forest, such as Madagascar dry forest in western coast of Madagascar, in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, New Caledonia dry forest in New Caledonia, a large island northeast of Australia, Indo-China dry forest in Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, Vietnam, Chota Nagpur dry forest in eastern India, Mexican dry forest in Guatemala and Mexico. And apart from that, we can also name Cambodia, Peru, and forest in Bolivia and Brazil. We can also characterize Atlantic dry forest in northeastern Brazil, Hawaii dry forest in Hawaiian Islands also under such type of forest. Now, another important distribution of forests under the tropical and subtropical coniferous forests are found in North and Central America. These tropical regions experience low level of precipitation and moderate variability in temperature. Tropical and subtropical coniferous forests are characterized by diverse species of conifers whose needles are adapted to deal with variable climatic conditions. These biomes feature a thick closed canopy with blocks light to the floor and allows little underbrush. As a result, the ground is often covered with fungi and ferns, shrubs and small trees composed of a diverse understory. Let me also explain you some of the ecoregions of the tropical and subtropical coniferous. I can count pine oak forest in southwestern United States and central Mexico, Greater Antillean pine forest in Cuba and Greater Antilles Islands, pine oak forest in Mexico, Honduras, El Salvador, etc. are examples of such kind of forest. Another, you may be thinking about the temperate broadleaf forest. These are found in central parts of the Himalayas. Forests have experienced a wide range of variability in temperature and precipitation. In regions where rainfall is broadly disturbed throughout the year, deciduous trees mixed with species of evergreen forest are found. Species such as oak, beech and maple fill up the landscape of these forests. Structurally, these forests are characterized by 4 layers: a canopy composed of mature full-sized dominant species and a slightly lower level of mature tree, a shrub layer and understory layer of grasses and other herbaceous plants. Apart from that, I will also explain some of the ecoregion of the temperate broadleaf forest and mixed forest. These are basically found in the eastern Australian temperate forest, in southeastern Australia, Tasmania temperate rainforest in Tasmania, an island of southeastern Australia, New Zealand temperate forest in South Island of New Zealand, eastern Himalayan broadleaf and conifer forest in Bhutan, China, India, Myanmar, Nepal, western Himalayan temperate forest in India, Nepal and Pakistan, Appalachians and mixed mesophytic forest in eastern United States, Russian Far East temperate forest in southeastern Pacific coast of Russia. Apart from that, temperate coniferous forest. The temperate coniferous forests are found predominantly in the areas with warm summer and cool winters, and very enormously included the Pacific Northwest, the Valdivian forest of southwestern South America, the rainforest of New Zealand and Tasmania, the northeastern Atlantic, which is also known as the small isolated pockets in Ireland, Scotland and Iceland. These are common in the coastal areas of the region that have mild winter and heavy rainfall, or inland in drier climates or mountain areas. Many species of trees inhabit these forests, including pine, cedar, fir, and redwood, which are huge trees, especially the redwood. The understory vegetation, which grows under the tall trees, also contains a wide variety of herbaceous and shrub species. Now I am going to explain some of the ecoregions of the temperate coniferous. The Pacific temperate rainforest in west coast of United States and Canada, and the coniferous forest in California, the coniferous forest in western United States, the southeastern coniferous and broadleaf forest in southeastern United States, Valdivian temperate rainforest in Argentina, in Europe, the European Mediterranean montane mixed forest in southeastern Europe. Next distribution I shall explain is of boreal forest or taiga. These are forests found in inland Canada, Alaska, Sweden, Finland, inland Norway, much of Russia's, as well as parts of the extreme northern continental United States. These are two major types of taiga. The southern part is closed canopy forest consisting of many closely spaced trees with mossy ground cover. In clearing in the forest, shrubs and wild flowers are common, such as the fireweed. The other type is the lichen woodland or sparse taiga, with trees that are farther spaced and lichens ground cover. The latter is common in the northernmost taiga. The taiga or boreal forest has a subarctic continental climate with very large temperature range between seasons, but the long and dry winter is the dominant feature. The short summer, 24 hours, average 10 degrees to centigrade or less than 1 to 3 months, and always less than 4 months. The winter lasts 5 to 7 months with average temperature below freezing. So temperature varies from 54 degrees centigrade to 30 degrees centigrade throughout the year. The continuous chaotic growth of population and greed of the present man's short-sighted and unplanned commercial and subsistence gathering activities like indiscriminate lumbering, charcoal burning, firewood collection, overgrazing and zooming types of cultivation and annual forest fires have been causing considerable damage to forest wealth system in our country. Forests in India have been degenerated and degraded into barren and unproductive lands. To elevate this serious concern, the development of different kinds of forest on war foot lines is an important means at this end.